So we get in here to do our lab. The first thing you want to do is put your seatbelt on. You can't do nothing without your seatbelt. You're gonna fail. So you put your seatbelt on. You make sure that it latches. You could unlatch it and latch it back, but make sure you keep it on during your test. You make sure the seatbelt has no abrasions or cuts, and that's that. So what I do, I start from top to bottom so I don't miss anything. You look up, you look at the overhead compartment, you make sure there's nothing that's gonna fall on you while you're driving.
There's a lot of cups up here will fall on you.
You look on the floor, you make sure there's no debris, nothing, no bottles that's gonna roll underneath your pedals to obstruct your driving. Okay? You look at your windshield, make sure it's not cracked or broken. You look at the weather seal around the windshield. Make sure there's no abrasions or cuts and it's properly secure. You can look at your windshield wipers and say that it's properly mounted and secure, but you can't check them until you start the truck. You look at your windows and your mirrors. You make sure that it's not cracked or broken, and you make sure that your weather seal is in place and no abrasions, no dry rot also. No dry rot on the windshield seal as well. Okay, so the next thing you do, you want to tell your instructor that you're gonna do a safe start. To do a safe start, you have to let him know that the vehicle's in neutral. Your parking brakes are applied. You're gonna depress the clutch by stepping on the clutch, and you're gonna start it. Now, I would start it slow until I see the lights cut on, and then I cut it all the way on. See the lights cut on, and then you cut it all the way on. There, you safe started your vehicle. Now you can take your foot off the clutch because you know it's in park and it's in neutral. Okay, then you tell the examiner, while my air pressure is rising, the last two on the right, while my air pressure is rising, you're gonna go over your gauges and you're gonna check all your buttons. So, within 5 seconds, your oil level should rise between 30 and 60. Your temperature gauge will rise as the vehicle warms up. Your fuel tank should match what you saw on the outside because you checked it outside. And your air pressure is still rising. You're gonna check your voltage. The way you check your voltage, there's a button right here on the windshield wiper button. You press it until you see voltage come up. Oops, I passed it. There it is, 13.7. Your voltage can be between, I would say, 12 and 14. Okay? You check your buttons over here. You have your window buttons is working. I would leave my window open because you're gonna need it open. Your windows work. You have a button here to check your mirror adjustment. All right? You have your headlights are on. You check your high beams. You check your left turn signal and your right turn signal. You have to call out each one. You check your four-way flashers. Okay? Moving across, I'm gonna go from left to right so I don't forget anything. You check your air horn. That should beep. You check your city horns. Okay? You check your windshield wipers and you check the fluid. Even if you don't see fluid, you're letting them know it should have some fluid in there. Okay? You're gonna check your heat. Turn it all the way up. You're gonna check that you feel it on your feet, and you're gonna put it on defrost, and you're gonna feel for it. He has to see you feel for it, and tell him you feel heat. Okay? If you feel heat. And turn it back off. Cut it off. That's all the buttons for inside. You're not checking these. The radio don't matter. You shouldn't be listening to music.
Wipers, rubber to glass or something like that?
Yeah, your windshield wipers are rubber to glass, not metal to glass.
You got metal windshield wipers?
No, I'm saying like if the metal ripped off, if the rubber ripped off, you don't want it scraping up your window. Okay? So pressure is still rising at this point. We're gonna step on the gas to let it rise a little bit faster. We're not moving because the brakes are on. We're in neutral still. I want to pause the videos because it's going to be a little while.
Like a minute, right?
Huh?
It's like a whole minute.
That is rising?
Yeah. That it takes for it to rise to.
I don't know how. It depends on your vehicle.
Yeah, this truck is old. So.
See what's so crazy? Don't mean to be all in our video and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But
No, you get that.
when they showed this lab test, they didn't show us all that. They
Well,
didn't go through all the
you
stuff that
usually
did
you don't have to step on the gas for it to
before. I'm talking
rise.
about like when you went through the window thing,
Yeah.
the mirror thing. They
Yeah.
didn't do all that stuff for us. Remember when we was in the truck? You know, they didn't go through all that stuff. So they would have just had us in here fucked up.
They probably had her going over her day, so that way she know what she's doing for her test.
You think they slick?
But that's good though. So that way, you don't say
Like a
you already done it
refresher.
again.
Because what did I forget? Somebody told me something probably. I forgot. I know you probably told me something that I forgot.
I just said it was the.
Oh yeah, the metal to glass,
Yeah.
not the rubber to glass, not metal to glass. That's right. Any little points can help you.
So you really gotta
Even if you
actually
miss
charge
some-
that all the way up for real, for real?
I mean, if you don't have no air, you can't test that you're gonna have
So you
leaks.
gonna
Yeah, because you got
the
tests for the
Yeah.
air too.
Oh, I thought you just tell them all this stuff.
Hell no, you gotta actually.
Everything I'm doing, you're gonna have to do.
See, they should have told us. Ooh, goddamn school.
Like I'm doing it the same way I would do it if the instructor was sitting right here. But another thing, this truck is not good with air for some reason. But it don't really matter because we're not driving it nowhere.
You check the headlights. You have to check the dome light too.
What?
The dome light, like the. You check that, or is it?
I mean, that's not a part of the test, but you can mention it since it's there. I didn't even know what that was. That's this. Look.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I think can't you put it all over some shit, you know, in cars, you push it all the way up, all the lights will come on in the car.
See, I don't know where the dome button is.
It's somewhere in here.
Somewhere. You'll figure it out when you get your own truck. Okay, so we're at about 140. I'll just go ahead and start. Y'all ready? Okay. So you have 3 type of brake tests. Well, the first brake test, you have your parking brake test. The second thing is your trailer brake test. And the third thing is your service brake test. Okay? You can choose whichever one you want to do first. It doesn't really matter. So if I want to test my parking brake is working, I have to release my trailer air supply so that this is the only one on. So you're going to tell the examiner before you do it. You don't want to do it and then tell him what you're doing. You want to tell him beforehand so he's not freaking out. So you're going to say, I'm going to put it in first gear. My clutch is going to be depressed. And I'm going to test whichever one you pick. I'll pick the parking brake first. So then I'm going to test on my parking brake. So you step on the clutch, put it in first gear, and then you release your trailer air supply to test the parking brake. Now you're going to tell him you're going to release the clutch, you should feel a tug, and then I'm going to step on the clutch. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to release the clutch. You can stay there. I'm going to release the clutch slowly. You felt the tug, you step back on your clutch. Okay? That test is done. The next thing you want to test is your trailer brake now. So you're going to release the parking brake. You're still in first gear. And you should feel a tug. We shouldn't go anywhere when you release the clutch. Okay? So release the clutch slowly. Feel the tug. And that's it. You tested your trailer brake. The next thing you want to test is your service brake. That's the last brake test you have to do. So you're going to push both parking brakes in. You're going to tell him you're going to accelerate to 5 miles per hour. You're not really going to do it. You're just going to say, I'm going to accelerate to 5 miles per hour and brake with my service brake. Now, to brake with your service brake, you don't want to hit the service brake first. You want to clutch and then hit the service brake. If you hit the service brake without the clutch, then you might shut off. So you want to service brake and then, clutch and then service brake. I'm sorry. Clutch first and then hit the service brake, okay? So push both of them in, both of your parking brakes. You're gonna slowly release the clutch. Okay, there, you move. And stop with your service brake. Then you're gonna cut off your vehicle. You're gonna remain in first gear. Your parking brakes should still be pushed in, both of them. Push them both in at the same time so that you know that they're in. Cut off your vehicle. You're gonna turn it into the on position so you see your gauges light up. Okay? Now you're gonna start the lab part of your cab test.
Huh?
The lab
I
part.
thought we did the last part.
That was your tug test.
Okay, so what's the last
You
part?
tugged on the brakes to make sure they work.
Okay.
And you did your service brake test. Now you're gonna do the lab. When you think of lab, that's LAB. The L starts for leaks. The A is for alarms. The B is for buttons. Okay? So what we're gonna do first, we're gonna test for leaks. That's the L in your lab. You're gonna step on the service brake. You're gonna apply 90 pounds of pressure onto the service brake. And you should not lose more than 4 PSI in 1 minute or 60 seconds, whichever one you wanna say. So step on your brake for 60 seconds. You're gonna count 1, 2, 3, and then he'll let you know, okay, you didn't lose anything. Test the next thing. The next thing you're gonna test is the A, alarms. You're gonna start fanning your brakes, which means stepping on it, until you get between 60 and 40 PSI. Your alarm should cut on. Now the alarms, it might not beep, but you'll see this stop sign and the exclamation point cut on. So you're gonna step on your brakes continuously until it gets between 60 and 40, and this will cut on. That's your alarm. The next thing you're gonna test for is the buttons. So you're gonna keep stepping on your brakes until your PSI gets between 40 and 20, then your button should pop out at you. So we're gonna keep fanning your brakes until the button pops out. Buttons popped out. And that's the completion of your test. You turn off the vehicle and you hand them the keys. You're done.
Oh, okay.
But what's